Romeo Wednesday, the Juliet edition. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's tutorial, I am going to demonstrate how to make layered adhesive acrylic ornaments using my Siser Juliet. Now, before we get into the actual tutorial, depending on the day that you're watching this, I do want you to know that Siser has a phenomenal deal going on right now for their Leonardo Design Studio Pro software. It is currently 50% off the normal price for either a monthly plan or an annual plan, bringing the annual plan down to $48. And that is lower than any other software that I've seen really anywhere. It's only $1 more than Creative Fabrica. I do have a link and a discount code below the video. Make sure you use those. Don't forget to use my discount code, and it will save you half off the price. Now, if you're already in a plan, you may have to cancel your plan and start a new one with my link. And if you have any trouble with it, Siser is very helpful. Just reach out to them. Now, at the end of this video, if you find my tutorial helpful, please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The materials I'm using for this tutorial include my Siser Juliet. I'm using StarCraft HD premium vinyl, weeding tool, these acrylic blanks that I purchased from Amazon, and transfer tape. I will also use a scraper as needed to burnish the vinyl, and I will be using a Cricut cutting mat. The files that I'm using can be found linked below the video. They were downloaded from the Creative Fabrica website. I am in Leonardo Design Studio, and the first thing I'm going to do is bring in the files that I'm planning to use. I am using files that I downloaded from the Creative Fabrica website, and from the bundle, I've already chosen the three that I want to use. The first one I'm using is this one that says, "All I Want for Christmas is a Silent Night." I'm bringing in the SVG. Now, this one might give me some drama because all of these little pieces, and I am going to be weeding adhesive vinyl, but I'm using StarCraft, so hopefully everything works out. I'll click Editable Artwork, and I'll click Apply, and I'll bring this down, and I'll go ahead and select the other files. So I'm going to click on Import again. I'll go back, and the next one I want to do is this one called Jingle Bells. Once again, I'm bringing in the SVG. This one should be fairly easy because I can make a decision how I want to use the ornaments right there. Okay, so let's just move this over and also bring it down. And then the last one I want to do is Merry and Bright from this same bundle. So this bundle has a lot of different options. And so if you are just getting started with using a cutting machine or using vinyl, I suggest starting with something very simple. Even if it's like this file right here is, in my opinion, it's very easy. And if you don't want to do it in two colors, you could do all of it in one color. The choice is yours. Okay, so I'm going to go with these three. And what I need to do is just make some circle shapes that will match the size of my ornament blanks. So I'll come down here to this menu at the bottom. I see a square. I'm going to choose the circle. And what I'll do is just click right there on the canvas, and then I can click Escape on my keyboard. And what I want to do with this circle is resize it to 3 by 3 because that's the size of my ornament blanks. Okay, so 3 inches by 3 inches. And right here, I can see the proportions are locked. Okay, so this is good. I want to change the color of this. Let's just change it to white. And I'll click Apply. Now, I know I can't see it, but I can come over here to the artboard and turn on my dark background. Okay, so now what I need to do is duplicate this. So I can right click and go to Edit, Add Copy, and right click, Edit, add copy again. Okay, so now I have 3 blanks, and what I need to do here is just resize the files so they'll fit nicely on my ornament blanks. Okay, I do want them to be in the front, so what I'll do is right click and go to order, bring to front. Okay, same thing here. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay, and right click, order, bring to front. Same thing here, make it smaller. Right click, order, bring to front. Now this one, I can make it a little bit bigger, not too much, because it's not really a perfect circle. Okay, I think this is a fair enough size. Okay, so now let's move this up. Let's move this up. And let's move this up. And I'm going to click the F3 key on my keyboard to zoom in. Okay, so now I can start to kind of really look at the file and see, if it's sized appropriately for my ornament blanks. That looks pretty good. I can select both and come up here to arrange, align objects, center like that. And I also want to center them like in the middle. So align objects center is not the same thing as align objects center right here. This is centering from the top to the bottom. So this is a vertical, like a vertical center like that. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good, except this looks like it might give me a little bit of drama, so I might make this just a little bit smaller just to be on the safe side. Okay, that looks great to me. All right, so now this, I want to make this a little bit bigger, like that. That looks great. And then I'll do the same thing with this, make it a little bit bigger. Now these circles that you see, these are just to help me with sizing the files. I'm not going to actually use them for anything. These are just basically placeholders. Okay, all of these look great. So now with these circles, I can come over here to the layers panel and I can just turn the circles off like that. Okay, okay, so now let's click on my Merry and Bright SVG. Looks great to me. All of these look great. So now what I would do is click Send Design. Let's click Cancel. Let's select everything. And let's click Send Design. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. And move each color. Okay, move each color layer to origin. Okay, I'm click send and let's see what happens. So all of my green layers will be on one mat. All of my red layers will be on a different mat. And if I want to put them closer so I can save all of this vinyl, I can do that. So I can select all of this right here and I can right click and group it and just move it down like right there. And then I can select all of this and I can right click and group it and move it down also. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's select this, right click, group, and let's just put it all on the same row. So I'm not wasting vinyl. Okay, that looks great. And because I'm using adhesive vinyl, I don't need to mirror this. Okay, so this looks great. All right, so what I would do is, you see I have it set to Siser standard blade. I'm going to make sure I'm connected to my Siser Juliet, and I will click Send to Cutter. Everything I'll do from here will be back on the camera. This first sheet of vinyl that I'm using is StarCraft. And I'm just going to place it on the mat face up. With adhesive vinyl, there's normally squares on the back, and that's the way to tell if you're using adhesive vinyl or heat transfer vinyl. In most cases, it works that way. There are some exceptions. Okay, I want to lock it in the back. Ooh, that was a hard lock. All right, and now I'm going to do an area test to make sure I'm in the right place for cutting. Okay, so the area test lets you know exactly where the cutting is going to happen. So I'm going to change my cut settings. Since this is just regular adhesive vinyl, I am going to use a speed of 10 and I'll try a force of 25. Let's see if that works. I'll speed this part up. I'm actually going to stop my machine because what I should have done was a test cut, but I can tell that I'm using too much force. So let's stop it and look at it. Okay, see that? It looks okay, but you could tell it's too much force. So what I'm going to do is bring the, let me just do, let me just do a test cut, which is what I should have done in the first place. Should have done that in the first place. Let's bring this closer. Let's just bring it closer. And on the top of the machine right here, there's a little t-shirt. If you press the t-shirt, it'll give you, it'll show you what the test cut will look like. So mine was on 10 and 25. I'm gonna bring it down to 10 and 15 and see what that looks like. All right, so we can look. Here's my little test cut. Let's see if 10 and 15 was good or nah. See, that's not enough. That's not enough. So let me try it again. Let me try 10 and 20. Look at that. 10 and 20 is almost perfect, but not 100%, because really the middle of the shirt should have cut out also. So let me try 10 and 22. Okay, so this is 10 and 22. I'm gonna go with 10 and 22. I'm gonna go with 10 and 22 for my cuts. I'm gonna try this all again. Now now if you really look at this, it wasn't looking bad. It was too much. So let's just try 10 and 22 and see what we get. Now that I have all of my vinyl cut, let's go to an overhead view so that I can show you how I plan to weed this and then get it layered on top of the ornament. I'm at an overhead view and I'm going to kind of cut this apart so that I can weed this. I'm not sure what I want to do. Well, guess I didn't have a choice. And I'll cut these like this. Ooh. Ooh. Mm, this is not good. I don't even know. This is indeed a crafting reality for so many people. And just know that when you're working on something like this or a new craft, or you're trying something for the first time, you might get frustrated. Just don't quit. I got frustrated a lot, and I was trying everything I could to just make this work for me. And so when I got stuck on something, I just moved to the next thing, because I knew I wanted to finish these ornaments. I do not work with adhesive vinyl very often. And when I do, I like to use StarCraft because I know that of all the brands of adhesive vinyl, this one is going to give me the least amount of stress. The only place I know you can find it is definitely at 143 Vinyl. I haven't seen it anywhere else. And I don't have a link to share, but you can definitely check out their website at 143vinyl.com. So right here, if you are trying to weed the ornament and you're having a hard time, you can either leave those little squiggly lines and just not do them at all, or use a very fine weeding tool and do your very best. This is an off-brand pen that I found on Amazon, and I honestly like these. They're pretty cheap, and they come in a pack of 2. I'll make sure they are linked below the video. I honestly have no idea what I was thinking when I looked at the Merry and Bright template. This one is so intricate, but since I already cut it, I was destined to finish it. I had to cut this one twice, and what I did the second time when I cut it is, instead of just going back in and grouping it, I actually welded the path. So if you are planning to use these exact same files, I suggest welding here. You'll notice that mine did not come out perfect, especially those ends where it's like those little sticks on the end of the vinyl. I did the best I could, and I figured you wouldn't be able to tell. And if anybody was standing that close to my tree to be like, what happened at the end of your ornament? It would be time for them to go ahead and head out. Okay, so what I'm doing is just carefully weeding this part. And even though these letters are like supposed to be hollow, nobody knows that but me. And I wanted a more bold look, so that's what I decided to do. Instead of weeding the inside of the letters, I kept it bold. And that is another part of the beauty in crafting. You get to make each craft and each item your own. Now that I'm finished with the green layer, it's time to start layering the green and the red together. So what I'm doing here is just taking my time and weeding out this first part. And I decided I would start with the easiest template first because that would give me the confidence to continue with this process. You didn't see it, but I actually used the transfer tape and I burnished, and now I have the green layer and I'm just placing it directly on top of the red layer. Now what you also can't see is that I have this file pulled up in Leonardo Design Studio, so I'll know exactly where it should go. I have removed the plastic from one side of the ornament, and I'm just going to place this on top. This is already so cute, and if you've been with me, you know I'm going to say I love it. I love this so much, and believe it or not, this is my first time doing ornaments this way. I've done ornaments so many different ways, and this is my first time trying this, and I just think these are so cute. What I'm doing here is cutting a piece of transfer tape. Because the letters in the red layer are so small, I'm actually going to do reverse weeding. So I'm putting the transfer tape on top of the vinyl. I already have the little area where the vinyl is cut out, and I'm going to pick up the whole piece that is already cut. Those little stars were definitely a no. They didn't end up on the ornament, but you'll see that in a minute. So what I'm doing here is just removing the vinyl with the transfer tape already on it. I'm burnishing really, really good. I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to weed away the big pieces, the big piece of vinyl, and leave the letters on the transfer tape. Because those letters were so small, this was the only way I could do it that would work. So I'm going to slow this part down a little bit and let you see exactly what I'm talking about. See, as I peel the big piece of vinyl back, I can see the letters are intact on the transfer tape, and that's exactly what I want. So I can look and you can see right there it says all I want for Christmas. And this was going so well until I got to the point where I was missing the letter N and I had to cut it again. And I even stopped. I went to look in the mirror. I checked my clothes. I could not find that N, and it was getting on my nerves. You can't tell right now because it looks like it's still there. But by the time it was time for me to actually place this with the green layer, the N in want was gone. It was gone. But I digress. This is how you do reverse weeding. You put the whole piece on top and peel it away so that all you're left with are the pieces that you want to keep. I don't know if you can tell, but right there, that's where the missing N is. It's gone. The table is shaking. I'm looking all over the craft room. After cutting another N, I was ready to get this all layered, and I think this looks really, really cute. Now, it would have looked a lot better if I was able to get those little stars, but I wasn't, and you wouldn't have even known if I didn't tell you, and nobody will know. I think it still looks really cute. The key right here is to scrape it down, like burnish it really, really good, and then transfer it over to your ornament. Now, I have removed one side of the plastic. The other side is still on the back of the ornament, and I think I'm going to just keep it there. There's no reason for me to remove it because that little frosted look, I feel like that kind of helps. But I love the way this one turned out just as much as I love the first one. Okay, and remember, transfer tape is reusable, so I use that same piece of transfer tape for this whole entire project. Okay, let's move on to the last ornament. I am going to once again do reverse weeding because the pieces in this template are also quite small. I apologize that the camera is shaking. I was, trying my best to do very good burnishing to make sure I got all the pieces picked up. This happened right here because the second time I cut that ornament, that template, it was kind of attached here, but it's okay. So you'll see as I peel back the transfer tape, the only thing that should be left on the transfer tape are the pieces that I want to use for my third ornament. So I see the word and I see the hearts and I see the stars. I'm going to remove everything I don't need, and then I will layer this along with the green part of the template right on top of the ornament. Okay, here I have my first layer. I'm going to just place it right on top where it should go with the green layer. Burnish it down really, really good to make sure both layers are adhered to the transfer tape. And once I have both layers, I will transfer them to the ornament blank. Once again, removing just one side of the plastic. That part is up to you though. You can remove both sides if you feel the need to do that. I actually love these blanks. I will make sure they are linked below the video. These acrylic blanks did come with this red ribbon, and I would say that I have not perfected tying them into the cutest bow, but I think it's cute enough, and once they're hanging on my tree, nobody should notice that they're not perfect. But anyway, hopefully you did find this tutorial helpful. Leave me a comment below and let me know if you plan to try this. If you saw my tutorial that I posted yesterday using my Cricut, these acrylic blanks are perfect for use with a Cricut because they're really thin and the engraving really does show up nicely. However, if you plan to use a thicker blank, I would think that using a blank that can't be used in a cutting machine, like a 3mm blank, or like a blank that's too thick, this is a perfect idea to use with those blanks because you really can't use them for engraving or anything else. But anyway, hopefully you did find this helpful. If you did, please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.